Hello, I'm Susan Regan, and I want to wish my guest her very best career going forward because she is the new superintendent, Cheri Burke, for Granby Public Schools as of July 1, 2023. Ms. Burke has come to us from the Glastonbury Public School System, where she was the assistant superintendent. So Cheri, pleasure to have you on. I know everyone's waiting to hear from you and what's going to happen with the new school year. It's started. However, I know you have a lot of objectives you want to cover. So please provide us first with an overview of your key accomplishments during your educationally focused career and what you hope to achieve in the new role in Granby, with a focus on communication with parents, complete professional learning curriculum, and a convocation of all citizenry. Love to hear what you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm very happy for this opportunity to join your broadcast. It's not something I've had the opportunity to do in other jobs and other positions that I've held in education. And I think it's just a wonderful way to spread more information in the educational arena. So thank you for inviting me for this opportunity. You are correct. Most recently, I was the assistant superintendent in Glastonbury Public Schools. That was a challenging time. That was during COVID. So we all were stretched our leadership abilities during that time as schools were impacted by the COVID experience. My tenure there was wonderful, prepared me well for this next step in my leadership. Some of the things that I'm most proud of during that time is we opened an early learning center for first responders and teachers in our community because childcare was closing up left and right. And we had some community members in need of high quality, low cost childcare. That's probably something I'm most proud of across my more than 25 years in education because it met a need of such important members of our community during a time that was challenged. We had some open space in a shared school, and we were able to do that.
Let me ask you a question right there.
Yeah.
With regard to that, I know in Granby the schools were kept open. Superintendent Grossman, he worked very hard on that. Did you keep? You said you had that for the first responders and so forth. Were you able to keep the school open there?
Okay. Yes, we only closed for those couple of months at the end of the school year when we were mandated to do so by the state legislator. And immediately upon being able to reopen our doors, we did the same as you did here in Granby. And I believe that was absolutely the right choice. Students and families were reassured that we would keep them as safe as possible. And we saw a direct correlation to our student achievement goals and I believe our mental health of our children by being back in school. And the early learning facility that we opened, birth to age 4, really was because we had so many teachers that their children's schools were closed or their children's daycare was closed. And so they were saying, I'm not sure I can return to work. And so we even allowed school-age children to attend our school district if the parent worked for us. Custodial staff, maintenance staff, teachers, everyone. Our Board of Education rose to that challenge and it made a big difference during such a challenging time. So that, that was something that has remained with me as an important experience that I had. And from that tremendous value for collaboration across different stakeholder groups and community members. Hadn't really planned to share that with you, but I think that that's a nice example.
Yeah, I think that's great. Now, as I understand it, you shared with me that the theme for the school year going forward is Let Kindness Ripple. How does that relate to the academic learning goals?
Yeah, so I'm so appreciative of that question. So I was raised to understand the importance of manners, being polite, always assuming good intention. And I think that currently we are struggling as a society to have dialogue that is purposeful and helps us to ensure that both parties are heard and helps us to really identify the similarities. What are our shared values? And we may disagree at times, but I think that when we approach challenging conversations with the assumption of good intent, with the assumption of a smile and a warm regard, can really change the dynamic that you may encounter with someone that perhaps you're going to have a disagreeing on a contextual level. And so I felt that kindness was very important for the way that we as the adults in the community carry ourselves, because we are the primary example to our children in the way that we engage with each other, in the way that we problem solve together, in the way that we invite collaborators focused on solutions, not only problems, which there's many. And so kindness was really not just about our students, although that's certainly an important part of it, because we recognize that there is sometimes mean-spirited behavior. My lights are going out because I'm not moving. I don't usually sit still for too long. So there's, some mean-spirited behavior. And so I think that if we all unite around kindness as a strong initiative, we'll see a difference. I think it'll start to have an impact.
Now, it's interesting you use the word kindness. Do you think that's something that children understand? Because I think what I would have said civilness, but I see it in Washington and in the Senate, even here in Hartford. Civility is a very rare asset these days. And I think, as you said, back when, we were growing up, my parents, they wouldn't put up with, there was always, you had to be appropriate, more or less don't speak until you're spoken to, particularly when you're younger and you're amongst adults. But civility, I think, is also a word that could be used alternatively in speaking with places.
Yeah, I'd love to comment on that. So, kindness is a common term that I think most people understand because it evokes. And so some of the way that we talk with kids about that is, what can you do or say that demonstrates kindness to a peer? And keeping in mind that our ages span from preschool, 3 and 4-year-olds, through postgraduate. And so when you identify a theme, it's really just that. It's just a launching point for more age-appropriate conversations with our students, as well as climate and culture sort of initiatives for the adults that work here. One great example is if you think about our, it's called The Vision of the Graduate. It was published a number of years ago. It's a part of our district strategic plan. It's posted in all of our schools. We share it broadly. There are very clear indicators that we expect Granby Public Schools students to embody upon graduation. When they walk across that stage at Granby Memorial High School, these values, if you will, these learning opportunities have been afforded to our students. And one of them, and I have it in front of me because I thought it was relatable, is to demonstrate civic responsibility. And so we have opportunities for that. I was in a classroom just a couple of days ago with a group of seniors that are already hard at work at their capstone project. And those are individually selected by students. And they're all honoring different forms of civic responsibility, volunteerism, learning about the small business challenges of owning a small business. One young person was doing a research on the system of firefighters and police officers and the difference in their training. I was really fascinated by the topics. And when you think about, helping our students to know the skill set around problem solving, collaborative thinking, working with others, our goal, our job as a public school is to teach children how to think, how to access the research, how to read critically, how to discern, fact from fiction and check resources and all of those things. Our job is not to teach them what to think. Our job is to teach them how to use their skills to make good opinions and decisions. And I think that that too connects to that exchange of idea that is respectful and civil and kind is the word that
I very interested in the word thinking, because I think coming together, which is a bit trite, it's used all the time, but I think what's also important is to take what they're learning and to learn to think independently, so that you're not just going forward and joining the crowd and agreeing with everything that the other person says and so forth. I think you need to be able to sort and filter so that they can make good adult decisions at a later stage in life. So I think that's important. Now, this is a big piece of our conversation, and it's you have a communications plan.
We do. We're developing one, yes.
Yes. And how can the Granby community get involved, and what measurement of response to your recent surveys in the outreach? Now, I know that we got a survey, so we are people in Granby who do not have any children in the system. And then I believe you sent out surveys also to the ones that have children who
We did. So upon arriving here in Granby, I recognized that communication is an asset, and it's one that we could improve upon. The criteria when the Board of Education was seeking the next leader of the district centered upon strong communication skills and advocacy for students in a way that would ultimately translate to higher levels of achievement. And so you're absolutely correct. I have two primary goals: improve that communication so that we engage parents as partners, tap our community resources so that we are stronger when we work together, and first and foremost, identify gaps in students' academic achievement so that we can get back in some ways to where we were pre-COVID and also continue to excel. We have that opportunity. I'd love to talk more about that later in the broadcast. But you are correct. We have ventured into a communications plan development. We have put a tremendous amount of time and energy into organizing a system to collect candid feedback from our stakeholder groups. So we have a community survey that was shared broadly, not only through the website, but also through some email distribution lists the town was kind enough to send out for us. And we've received over 150 individual responses just from community members that do not have children in our school district. Mm-hmm. I'm very proud of that number. That is a great return in such a short.
What was the focus mainly for that? What seemed to be a general theme that came
right. So from the community lens, and it's preliminary, it hasn't closed just yet, but right now we're seeing trends around improvements to our website. Mm-hmm. Is definitely something that people find a bit challenging to navigate, and they really want to have pertinent information at their fingertips. That's an immediate takeaway. Another takeaway is two-way communication. How can I, as a community member, get my questions answered? If I wanted to support in a volunteerism way, if I have concerns about my tax dollar allocation or resources that are being spent, where exactly can I go and to whom to get honest, transparent, immediate, feedback? Mm-hmm. And so those are the two primary trends that are popping up. There are also some questions around orchestration of Board of Education meetings, public comment. How can we really be heard? How can our voice be heard? How can we be our opinions be not only listened to but acted upon? I think that's primarily what we're hearing from the community at this point. If I may continue, we also had over 125 students engaged so far. It's still open to them until the end of the week. We sent a communication to parents first to let them know we're going to be asking your child to engage. And then the parents were able to view a copy of that. And it was very similar to the community one that I know you engaged with, Susan, asking it from a student perspective. You know, what do you want to be more involved in? Where do you wish your opinion was heard? Do you get timely feedback on grades and classroom expectations and behavior? If you're feeling mistreated, do you know where to go? So some really great feedback from students. I have not yet seen the results of that because we had a much smaller window for kids because as a mom of teenagers, I know you can't give them too long of a window to answer.
Yeah. Now, yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and over 400 parents engaged and about 175 staff members so far. So I'm proud of the return on the survey. And I believe that the data is going to be very informative for the district to improve in this area.
Now, I believe this is the other focus. This is the one that you actually spoke about a few minutes ago, and that is improving the school grades, because we know that Granby School District is a very highly rated public school area. It has, now, I have these figures, and please correct me if they're wrong, but it says it has 1,753 students in grades PK and K through KK through 12, with student-teacher ratio of 13:1. Does that all seem current?
That sounds about right. Those reports are usually about a year behind, so give or take 10 students, but that sounds about right.
So we're giving out correct information.
Yeah.
According to the state test scores, 45% of the students are at least proficient in math and 64% in reading. And having said that, this is another major objective for you, is to increase those. What percentages do you hope to increase it to, and how do you hope to do that?
Right. So Granby Public Schools is not unlike many schools across the state and country. We have seen a dramatic dip in student academic achievement, particularly in the area of mathematics. And there are a number.
Back to COVID, do you think it's all part of that?
So there's some, there are definitely some. There are some statistics that support return from COVID, particularly, and it really is related to the age of the child when they were removed from a school environment, because we have so many core foundational concepts. Math builds upon those skills. It's much harder to do mathematical concepts aligned to state standards, which are quite rigorous when you're in a home environment. You can pick up some really great literature and read with your children. You can keep a journal and write. You can watch educational videos. Mathematics is a bit more challenging to transfer to a home environment or computer generated. And so I do believe that did contribute. I also believe that we need to shore up our curriculum and the way in which we are engaging our students, and in the way that we are streamlining our approach to ensure that we are directly teaching students at their appropriate level so that they can start to close the gap. We've done a really great job at maintaining our achievement levels for a number of years. In order to achieve at higher levels on average across the district, we need to ensure that every single child makes growth. It's not enough to just maintain your level. We need to look at our high achieving students and ensure that they're being challenged to grow. We need to look at our average performing students, make sure that they're being appropriately challenged to grow. And we certainly need to have specialized areas of instruction for students that are underperforming.
So let me just ask you here, is Common Core part of this whole thing still? Is that?
So Common Core state standards were adopted. They're now referred to as the Connecticut state standards because the states adopted them as their own. So we do have expectations to teach to the Connecticut state standards, formerly known as Common Core, in reading, writing, mathematics, science, and social studies. and those are tested content areas.
So with regard to now the way that you're communicating, will you be putting a curriculum up on your website so that parents can follow that along and understand everything that's being taught in the schools?
Yes. So that has been a focus since before I was in the seat, because it was apparent to me that parents needed more tools in their toolbox to be able to have an informed decision-making power around what students are being taught and what they are expected to do. That is a laborious task. We have standards. They live in different places. We have documented curriculum that we can put up online, and we've started to do that. It won't be great, but I'll just show it and then I'll send you a copy. But at last night's Board of Education meeting, I shared that hot off the press, they were just completed this week and we've been hard at work at them. We are have prepared by each individual grade level, a curriculum at a glance for parents. Detailed sequential units that are being taught. What standards do these units incorporate? And we have done that for mathematics, reading and writing, science and social studies. They are indicated to be a draft. And the reason for that is because we were not able in the short time frame before curriculum night to incorporate some of the additional instructional practices that take place. For example, we have a set of technology standards where we work with children on keyboarding and searching criteria. We have standards on social and emotional learning, which I know is of interest to parents. And so we're working to organize those standards for parents as well. So this document will be up on our website within the week. Each parent group, when they come, they're having an orientation to it at curriculum night. They're going home with a hard copy. And then by midweek next week, every grade level will have come to school for the curriculum night. And you'll see them all posted proudly on our homepage. And then I'll be communicating out to our parent group and our community as they go through additional revisions with the goal of by mid-year, by report card time, we have a comprehensive summary for parents. We're really proud of that. It took a tremendous amount of work for my assistant superintendent, Jen Parsons, and some of her literacy and math professionals to pull that together for parents. But we knew it was important, and I wasn't going to have parents come to a curriculum night without something that they could take home and look at and understand.
All right. So now, when we were growing up and we were being educated, there was such a thing as parent-teacher conferences or whatever. Is this still in the play that if a parent?
It is.
Okay, so that arranged. All right, that's a great thing to know. I also, one of the things I think you're providing a very welcome mat, if you will, for people to reach out to you and to provide, as you said, a communicative rationale. I'm just going to touch on this. There were things that happened at the end of the school year last year. At that time, it was with regard to Wells School and a couple of incidences there. I did invite the principal to come on, Pauline Greer. At that time, she did not want to respond. And then most recently, I told her that we would be doing our interview and that I extended the interview again, and she just basically said anything going forward really should revert to you. So I wanted to do that because I did have several people ask me about that. So there will be a lot of communication, and I think going forward, hopefully, be no more surprises. Let's put it that way.
So always, we have to keep our ears and eyes open to the needs of our students, first and foremost, and our parents. And I was not the superintendent of schools at the time that occurred. That doesn't mean that I wasn't paying attention and taking note and frankly, determining strategy for how I would begin in this position to reestablish trust, to reincorporate parents as partners in a very
engaged fashion.
Engaging way. So that is my response to what occurred in the spring. We are committed to these principles, and I hope that over time, because I have only been here for a little over 2 months, I hope that over time we will be able to produce facts and documentation that parents and community members feel assured that they have those tools. And I hope that we will foster environments in our schools, all of our schools, where parents feel welcome and parents feel that there's an open opportunity for them to engage. And we're re-engaging our PTOs. We've held curriculum nights now in all of our schools except Kelly Lane is next week. I've been at them. I'll be at the 4th and 5th grade one this evening. Our teachers are displaying curriculum artifacts. They're showing their book collections. We are looking, and very, very soon parents will receive from us directions for how to log in to the database in their school library and see what books are there and communicate with the librarian around their wishes. And so it is important to me. I'm a mom of 4 children. I value parents tremendously, and we can't do this without them.
Sure. Well, Cheri, we very much appreciate your time today and your candidness going forward. And we need to know how they can get online and follow the status going forward for what's going to happen this year. What is the website address?
Absolutely. So the website address for Granby Public Schools is simply granbyschools.org, and you can find everything that you need there. You can reach out to me directly. Burke, letter C, I spell Cheri with a C, so Burke C at granbyschools.org, and I will direct you personally to the right individual to answer your questions. We're working on that website, and it will be improved over time.
I do want to do a shout out to Linda Powell. She is fundamentally a real asset in the office, and she's very, very responsive. So thank you very much for your time today.
Welcome.
We hope to have you on again later in the year so that we can see the progress that's been made. And I wish to say at this time, on behalf of my husband, Bill Regan, he is the executive producer of our show. We have been on public access TV airways for 12 years now, and we are airing in 50 towns in Connecticut, and all of our shows are always available, including this one, to any location on our website, ctvalleyviews.com. So thank you, viewers. We hope that we have covered a number of subjects that will respond to their areas, but thank you again, Cheri.
Thank you.